and welcome to Mass Monologues. I'm your host, aka Girl, and today I'm joined by Retro Brown. We're going to talk about the songwriting music production process. If you'd like to tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been creating music for, and what you specifically like to focus on, we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Okay. I started getting into music, I want to say around 1993. My grandmother, she instilled me into a Jamaican steel drum class. So I started taking Jamaican steel drums in Merck Park here in Los Angeles, off of Crenshaw Boulevard. And around 1999, I'm trying to think, it's either the summer 99 or the summer of 2000. Fruity Loops came out with a software. And at the time, that was my first year in high school, ninth grade. And I had a buddy of mine. So he would take Dr. Dre, he would take DJ Quick, and he would take other popular producers at the time, Dallas Austin, R&B. He'll take anyone you can think of that does pop music, Pharrell Williams, the Neptunes, the Nerds, or whatever, and
All the classics.
all the classics. And what he would do, he would make I think that song that came out with a CD Walkman. So we have a CD Walkman in high school, and he would play us music, and he'll say, "Who beats are these?" Or he'll say, "Oh, this is Pharrell," or "This is Dr. Dre," or he'll say, "This is Dallas Austin," or whoever, Timberland, whoever it is at the time. And then one time he said, "No, this is me." I said, "This is you." He said, "Yeah." And I never forget, we was in Miss Beppel's class, English, Drew High School. I said, "You coming to my house?" And he said, "What?" I said, "My mother's going to pick me up and we going to my house. You're going to show me how to make these beats." And so we set up a time on Saturday. And I didn't even know. He literally lived 2 blocks over from me. Now, we went to high school far away from our homes. So it was ironic that we met at King Drew High School, even though we lived 2 blocks from each other, but we never crossed paths. So when he came to my house, he set the software up. He showed me the basics, how to open up the piano roll, how to sequence, and he gave me the basics of chords, the 5s, starting from middle C. So he showed me that, and he showed me in Beverly Hills, California, they had a newsstand. So my mother liked to go to Ruth's Chris, the restaurant, go to Beverly Hills, and once we parked, we would walk past this newsstand. And every time we walked past this newsstand, I would literally look at the music section. And one time I looked, they had a thing, it's called Future Music Magazine. The back of the magazine, they have a sampling CD of different samples that you can load into Fruity Loops or whatever software you're using. And I would take those drums, hi-hats, techno sounds. So I like techno music as well. So I take techno sounds and I would try to make beats out of it. I might have been in the 10th grade. So this might have been in 2001, right after the 9/11. I would stay up to 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Normally I have to be at school at 8 o'clock. I did that for weeks on end, to the point where I got an ear infection. We had to go to Kaiser Permanente and give me amoxicillin because I caught an ear infection staying up so late trying to make beats. And I was caught by a bug. Now, I was just making beats every day as much as possible. And at that time, I believe YouTube just came out. So that's the beginning of YouTube. I still may be on MySpace. I don't even have the password for that account anymore. Back then, MySpace might have been brand new. I'm trying to remember if MySpace came out 2004 or something like that. So it's either the senior year of high school
Remember exactly, but it came out before Facebook. So
yeah.
book and then
Well, I would say this. Oh yeah, it did came out before Facebook, because I'm trying to remember. It was something in the 90s. They had social media as well, but it was like dial-up, AOL. So basically, how I got into music is through my friend Dennis, my grandmother. So I got to back up. I went to West Los Angeles City College.
yes.
And my grandmother enrolled, she asked me to take a piano class because I had very long fingers.
Mhm.
I took classical piano. So for the school, I played one of the symphonies from John Sebastian Bach, right? And then because I like folk music,
Uh-huh.
I I could not get the timing down for the classical music, so everything would sound jazzy or like funk or ones and two. So I ended up getting a B minus instead of an A. I got a B minus instead of an A. But the whole auditorium was clapping. They was
Uh-huh.
cheering. And then so it's a
Well,
process.
that's the main part. You want to create connection with your music. Sometimes it's not all about the technicalities of it.
It's more of a feeling for me. It's whatever mood that you are in.
Yes. Yeah, the groove.
I like a lot of rocks, indie rocks in Los Angeles. I spent a lot of time at the beach. For years, I lived towards the beach, Playa del Rey. I'm trying to move to Venice now as we speak,
Mhm.
but it's mainly how you feel and what inspires you. Here in Los Angeles, downtown LA, they have a lot of painting galleries of art, like you go see paintings. So sometimes, to me, my personal preference is I like to see art and I get inspired through the art. That there for me helps me pick what sounds I'm going to use.
What is your process of being inspired by the art? Do you see a painting and then do you just feel the vibe of it? Or is it the color scheme? Is it the drawing, like if it's a flower or if it's a horse? How do you interpret that and turn it into music?
For me, it's like creating a soundtrack. If I look at Starry Nights painting
Yes.
in my mind, I'm looking at B minor chords for myself. That's R&B for me.
Right.
Or E minor, that's soul or neo soul type of chords. How I make music. When I'm looking at that, I'm thinking something at nighttime, something that will get you. I don't know if you're familiar with Maxwell Ascension, that song. That's what I think of Starry Nights. And
Yes.
and then I'm into a lot of abstract paintings. And that's why I get into Nerve or Neptunes, Pharrell Williams and Chad Hugo in that future type of sound.
And so, with your music production, do you usually collaborate with singers or songwriters and ask them to do talk lining, or how do you go about adding vocals or a melody to your song, or do you have just the instrumental?
For me, I make the instrumental and sometimes I come up with a catchy hook and then I'll go to a website or a service and I'll take my money and I'll do what's called a work for hire.
Yes.
And now I actually pay however much money the singer's asking the vocalist. I'll provide the instrumentals, I'll provide the lyrics, and I'll tell them I want the song go. And I'll chat to them, and then they'll send me back a sample, and I say, "No, can you sing it like this?" Or I'll send a reference track of another song, and I say, "In this particular minute of this YouTube video, can you do this?" And then they'll say yes. And it's in person. If I'm around someone, I just collaborate with them, and then we'll just split the writer shares.
So, with singers, if you find them on service websites or wherever you find them, do you find that it's difficult to find the exact singer you want to sing on your track? Does it align with what you envisioned in your mind, or do you have to ask them to tweak it more often than not?
Usually, for me, I can find what I'm looking for because usually they'll have a sample video of their past work.
Yes, search.
Yes, but recently, sometimes I run into a snag where I can't get it the way I want. So I ask for a revision once or twice. If I still don't get it, then what I would do is I would take the vocal myself and I would open the wave file and manipulate the wave until I hear it the way I want to hear it. Then I'll record the vocal wave
Mhm.
or resample it back into the song, play it like that. So usually they'll give me an initial. If it doesn't work out, I will physically alter it.
Manipulate it.
Yeah. Yes.
And when you have you ever tried remixing other people's productions, or do you stay with your productions and your music, or stay with your music and edit those?
I love music so much. I will make a beat
Mhm.
or I find out, let's say the papas and the mamas, California Dreaming, and I find out whatever key that's in. Then I will compose around an instrumental. Then I will find acapella up and then put it back into the song. Or I'll take their hook and
Yes.
I'll find like a rapper or a singer and put them in a verse and like a mashup.
Yes.
So I enjoy all of it.
So you seem as though you get inspiration from other musicians, other artists, and then also from paintings and fine artists as well. Do you usually have a melody playing in your head, or do you know what chord you want to put into that production? Do you hear it in your head and then you just have to go to your DAW, your digital audio software, and set it up?
I'll give you a secret. For me, now this is not true for everyone else, but for me, I have different. I stick to mainly minor chords. Major chords is more happy seed or whatever. It's happy stuff. For me, it's minor chords, and each chord is a certain genre for me. So G minor would be funk, D minor would be R&B, D sharp minor that would be like pop, electro for me. How I make my music. So I personally use life experience as a way to create music and inspiration. And then also I will use other artists that I hear. When I was growing up, you would get teased, laughed at if you're actually copying somebody's style. They will call you whack. They will say you lame, and then they will just give you a thumbs down. So I always try to be different.
Yes. Although I feel as though you can take inspiration from other artists, because if you take those inspirations, essentially you'll be a mashup of all those other artists, which turns into something unique. Do you agree
Yes,
with that? Or
I 100% agree with that. Most things in life, from what I've noticed, is inspiration.
I know that
Um,
this saying it's great artists or good artists borrow and great artists steal. And in saying that great artists are able to take something that's been done by another artist and pawn it off as their own because they've manipulated, changed it, tweaked it so much that it's become something entirely different.
yeah. For example, I'll help you argue. George Clear, he's an interview somewhere in YouTube, Funkadelics. He said that funk music is the inspiration of psychedelic rock and blues, and that's how you get funks.
Right.
And then Rakim, he took, I think, the average white man picking up the pieces and sampled that and came with a hit rap song in the 80s.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very possible. And then, like, when you take inspiration from other artists and things, you can create something new. And
Yes.
that's what I like.
And then when it comes to actually going into your DAW and I guess layering up your sounds, you tend to layer up your piano, layer up your, I guess if you have a violin or whatever synths and pads you put into the production. Is there a point where you think it's too much or you have to strip it back down? And how do you know when a production is fully complete?
In my library, I have, if there's no vocals on it, it's just a look, I will overproduce because the instruments become the vocals. If I have a vocalist, a rapper or singer, or somebody doing reggae or scatting, then I would have to reduce my instruments to give them room to actually
Yes, for the
harmonize
influence.
and ad lib. Because if you overproduce, it is sound like it's clashing. It doesn't sound upright, and people criticize.
And I know that a lot of music producers, what they tend to do is it looks like an upwards climb, the song, where there'll be moments of highs, moments of lows. So you have your chorus, your first chorus versus your last chorus. Obviously, in the last chorus, you're going to give it all away. But in the first chorus, you want to save some so you're not adding as many layers. And because that keeps the listener intrigued and interested. What strategies do you use nowadays in terms of streaming platforms? You only have 3 seconds to capture a listener's attention. How do you go about doing that?
Yeah, and that's part of changing with the times, but hence the name Retro Brown. So a
Mhm.
lot of the music, it is sound retro, like either 80s or 90s, even early 2000s. Like I just released a new football anthem maybe yesterday. It should be on Spotify now,
Mhm.
but to capture the listener's attention, because the first 3 seconds is crucial. So it's all about picking rocks or sounds or if you're a hip hop producer, picking the right sample to where somebody goes, "What is that?" And then once, so I would usually start with a 4 bar intro. That's my thing. 4 bar intro or 8 bar. And when the verse drops, so the first 8 bars is
Yes.
one way, other 8 bars is another way. Then the chorus is different, and then on the second verse, it's in the same key, but it's totally different.
Uh, and I want to ask you something because I don't know if you work with like singers, songwriters, or lyricists, but have you ever written a song starting with lyrics?
Yes, blame me. That's a cyberpunk song that I made for video games. Blame me. I personally wrote the chords first. Then it was the task of finding the right sounds to match the writing. The drums already there because I knew what tempo I wanted.
Uh, and do you find that to be more difficult as opposed to going down and having the instrumental first? Or how was it comparing the two methods of creating a song? Which are you more inclined to do?
To me, I'm more inclined to creating the song or the instrumentals first, then writing, because I can hear the bass line. I said, "Oh, this sounds pretty nice. I'm gonna write this out." But if I write it down first, it becomes difficult trying to play the bass line and all the melodies around it to myself. Somebody else may find that easy, but for me, it's difficult.
As an artist, what would you like your music to convey to people? Or what is your main goal, your main objective that you would like your music to achieve?
Stress-free environment. My art, whether it's the album covers or any paintings that I put up, because my mother is an artist. So sometimes I'll have my mother draw a painting and then I will create music around that. So it's basically to escape the ills of society or your problems. It's to create imagination. One of my favorite cartoons right now is Rick and Morty. So the whole idea for me in music is to have a multi-dimension, multi-universe where you can be in your body, put on some headphones or listen to some music, close your eyes, and you're somewhere else.
Yes. I've noticed that a lot of singers, songwriters, musicians, artists, anyone who loves music, they use music as a form, a getaway, like a form of coping, a coping method. Sometimes, like a personal therapist, when you listen to a song, you can relate to the singer who's singing the words, or even just the instrumental has emotions within it. And it's just amazing to have that human connection with an audio file.
Yes, and matter of fact, I take it a step further. I don't share this with many people. I suffered a ruptured artery back in July of 2023, and music is what saved my life. I went a day and a half with a dissection. So, like, dizzy bone, he had a dissection in his lung. I had a dissection in my aortic valve. It could have been from a car accident that I was involved in. Somebody hit me from the back, and that artery ripped open.
I'm
And most people,
sorry.
most people die on the spot, and I think 80% die in surgery. For me, it was listening to the music that got me to Cedar Sinai Hospital.
Yes.
Music, it can save your lives. Music can stop you from making a wrong decision. If you listen to any Bob Marley or David Bowie, li-
Yes.
or any Beatles music,
Uh-huh.
actually, it works for me. It can actually change your perspective of life.
Uh-huh.
You can listen to a song and be feeling ill, sick, and then hear it and it'll spark some life into you.
Yes.
Anything that's 432 hertz or 528 hertz,
Mhm.
anything above, it actually heals the DNA. There's doctors, scientists, and that can show you when you play music, it actually repairs your DNA.
Yeah.
The Tibetan singing bowls, you can lay down, they can play it over your body, and it can remove energy blockages or even slim. I tried it before. If your nose is clogged or congestion, you can play music at a certain frequency, and that bass will actually unclog you.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's an interesting fact. I know it's incredible how when you're having a terrible day, you're feeling under the weather and you play that song that's happy, it's got a good vibe to it, and automatically your face just lights up. You're filled with joy, and it's just an amazing feeling.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, since most people have YouTube, what I would usually do is I have a smartwatch, I have my smartphone, I'll play a philosopher, Alan Watts. So I will listen to Alan Watt, or I will listen to anything that's audio, and I will play music with it. And I notice you can retain more information just having lo-fi beats, like lo-fi hip hop from Tokyo. You can have just lo-fi instrumentals in the background, actually listen to the speech, and you can recall what they're saying.
Now, there was a study done by, I believe it was Harvard, and it was talking about how, for some reason, Mozart's music is able to improve cognitive functioning. And they tested it with rats, and the rats, they were supposed to go through this little maze, and they were able to get through the maze about, I think it was 5 times faster once they listened to Mozart music. But they tested it with other classical composers, such as Beethoven, and they weren't as effective. There's something unique about Mozart's music.
It could be the complexity or the frequency. And I know at that time, each instrument might have been tuned different. Now, music is played at a lower vibration if you listen to them radio or mainstream music. But if you go to a local indie artist or somebody who play acoustic, something like that, it sounds better. It's better for your thinking. It's better for your mood. I like salsa. I like Afro Cuban music. So you can actually go to a salsa concert and feel the vibes. And it's almost hard to feel any negativity with that type of music. But what I do notice is if you listen to certain genres and certain artists, it sets your cognitive abilities low. And this is why I think crime in general across the world is it could be high due to certain music. Because it's hard to commit crime to Mozart.
Yes, be a little difficult.
Yeah, and then if you notice, I've seen videos on YouTube where people play chess and they'll have classical music in the background.
Yes.
Notice a lot of
It improves spatial awareness, so
right.
that moving objects in your mind. And I believe that in chess, you're thinking about the next move or the move after that. And maybe it helps you to think quicker.
Yeah, now this part I'm gonna say right here is the disclaimer. This is the disclaimer that I'm gonna say. But this is conspiracy. But in my mind, when you remove vocals from instrumentals, you're not getting brainwashed. So if you listen to a ratchet song, you're being brainwashed to think a certain way. But if you just listening to the instrumental, now you're able to actually use your own brain, solve problems, and critically think about different things. And then it also depends on styles of music. If you listen to drill or trap music, it's very hard to be in a positive mode because the beat itself is created in a certain way. But if you listen to like folk music, if you listen to certain forms of country, indie music, anything like that, now your you're shifting into a positive or a higher frequency, what they call God consciousness or something like that. Mm, That to me is people with higher IQs in general will listen to more of that kind of music
Yes.
without the lyrics.
Okay, so I want to wrap up now. I want to ask where people can listen to your songs and if you have an Instagram or website or any other social media channels that you'd like to share with us.
Yes, you could just type my full name and Google AI will show you all my links. It's Henry F. Brown the third, Henry F. Brown the third, or Instagram retro dot brown. Either name should pop up, but it's Henry F. Brown the third, and that's all the links. X to YouTube Music, Apple Music, Deezer, Instagram. I think Facebook has music as well because I've seen it on there as well.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
It's pleasure's all mine. I'm glad, I'm humbled for you even allowing me to come over here and speak.
So I just want to shout out to the audience. If you like their podcast episodes and you want more just like this, then please share it with a friend, a family member, so we can create more episodes. And thank you so much. And we'll see you next time.
Hear the stories they all say.